So you get your first job and you're super diligent, responsible, respectful, and kind to all the customers, and you're overall a pretty good employee. Now your employee sees this and he decides to give you a little promotion maybe. A couple weeks into the job, you're just doing your thing, just working, and you happen to catch one of your coworkers smoking in the freezer. Now you're facing a bit of a conundrum here because you could either tell your employer about the situation and risk your coworker being fired, or you could let it go and risk that behavior encouraging your other coworkers to operate in that same manner. Now, you decide to tell your employer about it, and he's like, don't even worry about it, bro. Like, thanks for telling me. So, your employer goes to your coworker and says exactly what he needs to say in a somewhat unsavory volume and manner, and your coworker gets sent home with a pay cut and a suspension. So, as soon as your coworker gets home, the first thought in his head is how cruel his boss is rather than what he should have done better that day. But why is that? A study done by Albert Morabian shows that 55% of meaning is conveyed through body language and 38% is conveyed through tone of voice. That means that spoken words only account for 7% of what you're actually trying to say. So scientifically speaking, when you're being yelled at, your amygdala activates, which is the part of the brain responsible for fear responses and defensive reactions, which is like what happened to our coworker. So because he was on the defensive, he wasn't able to absorb any of the input that your employer gave him because he was being chewed out. Which kind of just makes your employer's actions counterproductive because his tone of voice shut your coworker's brain off to the main point he was trying to convey. So as members of a team, if we're really trying to have success and unity, we need to make sure that we're being encouraging and patient toward those around us. Because raising your voice or adopting a condescending and negative tone only makes things worse. So your shift ends for the day and you're exhausted, bro. Like severely. Let's just say you don't have a car. So like like me. Anyway, you start the trek home tired and hungry, but you're actually doing pretty alright because you could just microwave some leftovers when you get home. But the second you get home, man, your dad is already on your case. You need to get some muscle, boy. Did you even clean out the rocket ship when you got like all this stuff, bro? So the main thing you're probably gonna be paying attention to is your dad's inflection. Inflection just refers to the modulation of intonation or pitch in the voice, and it's closely related to tone. There's a lot of things that can affect our inflection, but like the largest culprit is stress. So the reason your dad's inflection and words were all messed up was most likely due to an external source. So that's why he's speaking fast, aggressively, and with a raised voice, which is something you should not be doing. So if you're having a bad day and someone you know is being annoying, it's probably a better idea to take a quick breather so the stress doesn't affect the message you're trying to convey. Another thing you might face is passive aggression. And bro, it's probably one of the worst things out there. Now, put it simply, passive aggression is just a way people express their negative thoughts and emotions, but it's indirectly, and it's typically used to hurt and confuse people. So there's a lot of different ways passive aggression can happen, like backhanded compliments and like silent treatment, but some of the more common ways are through sarcasm and blaming. So why is passive aggression a problem? Passive aggression can take a pretty bad toll on relationships because the target often feels like they can't do anything. Well, I guess like other than active aggression, but passive aggression erodes trust and respect, which can like lead to all kinds of problems. So not all of us are going to be employers or managers, or maybe even parents, but someday we're going to have to assume some sort of leadership role. And because of that, we need to make sure we're skilled communicators in order to create an atmosphere of teamwork and improvement, rather than an unpleasant and harsh area that only encourages failure. If you're an avid learner, you should check out our skill set library at ed.navi.com/skillset library. You can find a whole bunch of resources, like how to grow 4 extra arms naturally and how to lose any street fight in 10 seconds or less.